Welcome to Dr. Piercy's Downloading and Installing Eclipse. This video was made under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial License. In this video, you're going to learn what Eclipse is and what it can be used for. You want to see how to download and install Eclipse, and we'll take a brief look at Eclipse to see that it is working on your computer. So you may be asking, what is Eclipse? Eclipse is a development environment. This means that it's a software application with lots of tools that you can use to create stuff. Eclipse is integrated. This means that all the tools provided by Eclipse are collected in one software package to work together. You can also think of integrated as the diverse components that you create being integrated or collected to form a complete package or project. So, Eclipse is an integrated development environment, also known as an IDE. Let's have a look at how we might get Eclipse and install it. Eclipse is a non-profit, open-source foundation that creates lots of software. In fact, it creates some of the most popular software used on the web today. One of these software is called Eclipse. As we mentioned, the Eclipse IDE can be found here. A couple ways to get to the download page, but let's click on the one that says Get Started Now, Download Eclipse. There are several different versions of the Eclipse platform, and so you want to get the version that works with whatever type of development you're going to do. In our case, we're going to be working with web development, so we're going to pick Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. You should also notice over to the side that there are different versions based on the operating system. I'm recording this on a Mac, so I see Mac on my system. If you're working with a Windows machine, you'll see Windows here. Generally, I prefer to get the 32-bit versions, but feel free to get the 64 if that's what you like. I'm going to click on the version that I want for Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers. I'm just going to take mine from the one that's provided at the top. Feel free to use one of the other locations. They should all be safe if they're coming through this page. It's always a good idea that you notice the file name that you're going to download in case you need to find it later, and notice where it's going. Mine is going into Downloads, and it's saved with this one that has Mac OS X coco.tar. tar as a type of archive. You may be familiar with a similar type of file called a zip file. I'm going to click Save. I'm going to save it using the standard extension for a Mac. Now I wait a while it downloads. Okay, we're back. My Eclipse is fully downloaded, so I'm going to go to Finder, which is the file viewer that is on the Macintosh computer. If you're using Windows, you'll want to use the Windows Explorer application. I've opened a view into my Downloads folder, which if you recall is where I specified should be downloaded the file. And I've also opened an Applications folder. I don't like to keep things in Downloads, so I'm going to create a new folder to hold Eclipse in my Applications area. I'm going to call mine Eclipse Kepler. If you take a close look at the file name, it's Eclipse JEE, so the Java EE version, and it also says Kepler after that. This is because they are coding the versions based on letters of the alphabet, and for each new letter of the alphabet they provide a code name. This current one is called Kepler. The previous one was known as Juno. So I'm just going to first drag my tar file into my new folder for Eclipse Kepler. And in a Mac, all you had to do to uncompress it is to double-click on it. So I'll do that. In a Windows machine, you might want to right-click and then choose whichever option is appropriate to decompress the file within this folder. Inside my Eclipse Kepler folder, I still have the compressed version, but I also have a decompressed folder called Eclipse, and you can see that contains numerous files and folders. You will notice that one of the files is called Eclipse, and it has an icon beside it. Now, if I leave this as it is, I will have to navigate to this folder in order to run this application. It's not an installed application as many are, but I like to make a kind of a shortcut to it. On a Mac, I can simply drag the file down and place it in an appropriate location on the dock, and that creates a shortcut to the file. You see the application file is still in the folder. On Windows, you may want to right-click and create a new shortcut, and then drag your shortcut to your desktop. As a quick test, let's simply load Eclipse to see if it is running. Here's the splash screen showing that Eclipse Kepler is loading. The Workspace is the location in your file system where it's going to store by default any files that you create using Eclipse. You're welcome to change this if you want, but I recommend sticking with the default location and name for this file. And here's our first look at Eclipse. As far as I can tell, so far so good. Everything is working. So we'll end here, and we'll see in a later video how we can create our first project using Eclipse. The primary reference for this video is the Eclipse Foundation website at eclipse.org. This is your go-to source for all things concerning Eclipse. If you want to know about Eclipse, need some help, or look at the documentation, this is where you should start. This video was written, narrated, and produced by Dr. Craig A. Piercy. Background music is DC 3000 by Thievery Corporation from the Wired CD Rip Sample Mass Share 2004. This has been a Piercy production.